She's not really a strong leader, I don't think, and I'm not really too concerned with how she's going to affect our playthrough. There's, I think, one more leader that we haven't found yet, and whenever we catch a hold of whoever that leader might be, I'll try to talk about, the diplomatic implications very briefly, if that ever happens, and that'll round out our diplomatic kind of stance. So those are kind of the big priorities. The last thing that we need to talk about is how we're going to expand. We do have a settler out here, and I want to try and get this city, even though we're a few turns back in our pipeline. So what we're going to go ahead and do is move this warrior out and have our settler meet up with the warrior. And hopefully this allows our settler to get out there soon enough. I'm not too worried about defense for this particular city because we have another worker coming out, and we will be able to double chop out a dog soldier. So I don't think in the next 4 or 5 turns we need to worry about defense. And after that 5 turns we will have a dog soldier up and running. So I think we'll be fine. But this is a gamble, and just hopefully it doesn't backfire. So all that said, we've got iron working in the pipeline, and our diplomatic strategy pretty well thought of. Hannibal, you're not someone we're going to open borders with just yet. You're not a high priority for us. We have this worker whipped out. We're going to go ahead and double chop to get this dog soldier out as quickly as possible. It looks like coast is clear for our settler to move out. He will probably get over to our city tile in, is that 3 turns, I guess? 1, 2, 3 he gets to settle. So hopefully that's quickly enough. And I shouldn't have moved that settler first. That was a big mistake. You always want to move the escorting unit first. But we got lucky there. There were no units out here. So I should have definitely moved the settler second, though. That was a mistake. Looks like we've got some chopping in 3 turns. We don't have any barb problems yet, so that seems pretty good for us. And, an archer. There's an archer and a settler. They're on top of the Gold Hill, though, and I don't think the Gaul wants to settle there. So if the Gaul doesn't settle, then he'll move someplace, probably north or northwest or something, and that means we've gotten the city. But he might settle on the Gold Hill. It's a really small chance of that happening, though. So yeah, if he settles, we've lost the city. If he doesn't, we've gotten the city. Dog soldiers out. We will start on a worker. We need to start improving some tiles. And it looks like the Gaul moved the guy. I don't see a city out here, so I think we actually got the city. Yeah, alright. Looks like we just beat the Gaul probably by 1 turn there. So that was really close. And it's a big benefit. I mean, this city's going to be a great city for us, and if it weren't this city, we would have had some, garbage down here by Tundra. So very fortunate for us that we got this city. Yeah, take that, De Gaulle. That's for. I think De Gaulle was the guy who stole our hut down here a while back. That's a little payback. Mound City's going to start on a library, and we're going to bring over a worker to help chop that out once they're done over by Poverty Point, and we have a worker coming out for Cahokia. We're still short workers. You usually want 1.5 per city, and I have 2 for 3 cities, so very, very below the curve there, but that's again just because we're trying to push out cities much more quickly than we normally would be. Now, we've got the dog soldier out. We're going to go with a library because we want to get the borders popped here as soon as possible. And we're going to do a little scouting with this dog soldier just to make sure there are no city sites up there. And so I think I made a bit of a mistake here. We won't be researching ironworking until after these libraries get up and running. So I'm going to turn research off. This is called binary research. Basically, we're saving up gold until the libraries get built, and then we can put money into research with an additional 25% bonus in 2 of our cities. So we could have done that 1 turn earlier because Mound City had gotten founded a turn earlier. So that's a turn of waste there, but this will generally help our research go a little bit more quickly. It's called binary research. It's something that you can definitely use to shave some turns off of any research that you plan to be doing. Going to go ahead and chop this library out. And looks like our dog soldier will have some fun over here. No, actually that warrior was a bit scared of him. I don't blame him. I'm going to go ahead and chop this remaining forest to try and push that library out as quickly as possible. And it looks like we do have some good terrain up to the northwest. And so that's probably going to mean that, if we do found another city, we might want to go to the northwest. But it's just not a priority for us now because our economy is already kind of tanking, and we just need to consolidate what we have for the time being. I'm going to go ahead and take out this warrior so he doesn't give us any problems. De Gaulle gets open borders. He's one of the guys we want to kind of brown nose up to. Worker just came out. We're going to go with a library, and we're going to try to get that done as quickly as possible. And we're going to need to do some slavery whipping here to get these libraries out. That's because we need the border pop to gain some of our better tiles, and the library is also important for our research, so we want to try and get those out as quickly as possible. I'll explain very briefly some slavery mechanics. Those are very important to building a good civilization. You need to understand how slavery increases your hammer output. But it's pretty arithmetic heavy, and you're not going to get it in one lesson if you haven't dealt with it before. So we'll definitely have to take it piece by piece. Looks like we've got an archer that dislodged our barbarian down here. That's a big deal. We're going to have to switch this guy to a dog soldier. Unfortunate, it's going to push our library back, but it's just too risky to let an archer kind of have his way with the southern regions down there. So, and looks like we have some pretty good city terrain up there. We'll think about that. Dog soldier's going to come back and guard Poverty Point, and just chopping out some libraries here. And looks like we've gotten 2 chops here, and we're going to grow in 2 turns. So just really quickly, some slavery mechanics. Each population that you whip for slavery, in this particular case it says cost 2 population, each population that you whip will give you 30 hammers. So it says cost 2 population, that means we need 60 hammers to get the library built. It's true because we're halfway there, 45 out of 90, so we need 45 more hammers. And to figure out how many population you can whip, you take your population of your city and divide it by 2, and then you round down. So Poverty Point can get 3 divided by 2, which is 1.5. Round that down, you get 1. So this guy can whip 1 population. When he grows in 2 turns, he will be able to whip 2 population. So Poverty Point will be able to whip this library in 2 turns. So because that's the case, we can figure out what kind of tiles we're going to work. It's kind of a wash here because we have 2 growth versus an extra hammer of overflow, and or 2 hammers of overflow. And since all the population, all the tiles are giving us the same amount of commerce, it doesn't matter. But if, for example, we had like a 3 commerce tile or a cottage or something to work, that would definitely affect which tile we chose to work for these next 2 turns. As it stands, it's not a big deal. So